Hey guys, I'm back and you might notice something different. Yes, I have started a new set of locks. If you follow me on Instagram, you've noticed that I've been cutting my hair into different styles over the past like 3 months or so, and a lot of that was to alleviate some trouble spots that I had. It had nothing to do with health or damage. My locks were perfectly healthy, but a lot of it was aesthetics. And I know a lot of people in the lock community are let your locks do what they want to do and go with the flow. But the thing is, we all do things that help the aesthetics of our hair. Um, so I'm not going to go on a rant about that, but I am going to say that um, I promised myself that I would keep my locks for 2 years and see how they would develop. And, a few weeks shy of my 2 years, I realized my locks were not where I wanted them to be and that they would not get where I wanted them to be because the foundation that I set was not going to yield the results that I wanted. And so, number one issue I had was my parting. The parting was all over the place. I've said several times in many videos that I started my locks after I injured my shoulder and I did them myself. I was stupid and did not go to a physical therapist, so my shoulder was not very functional. So that made me not be able to lift my arms very high. So I was trying to part at the top of my head with not extending my arms all the way, and that just gave me a very crazy grid. Also, I reparted my hair a lot, and that also gave me a crazy grid because I started off with a crazy grid, and then I would take two locks, unravel them, combine them, and then that would give me a rectangle. And then that moves into my other point that I didn't like about my first set. Because I had the rectangular parts in like 75% of my head, that gave me flat locks in a lot of places. I would have been fine if I palm rolled probably, or if I used a 3 or 4 point interlock technique, but I used a 2-point. And the 2-point can give you a more flat lock in certain conditions, and one of those conditions is having a rectangular part. And so I did have that in a lot of areas. Another thing, the third thing that I wanted to correct in my second set is the interlocking technique I use. I've said before that I chose this 2-point interlock method with my first locks because I wanted them to stay thick. However, it just didn't work in all places. 2-point interlocking is very tricky because if you have enough new growth that you need to make more than one repetition of the 2 points, it's hard to not make a gap in your lock. And I only had a gap in like 2 or 3 of my locks. The rest of them, I had this very odd occurrence of 2 strands next to each other that were twisted, and they were just very close together like this. So it wasn't a Y, it wasn't that, it was just very intertwined strands next to each other. So that created an odd look as well, and it made it flat because they weren't like this, they were side by side. A fourth point I wanted to correct was to not have such severe size differences in my locks. I know it's impossible to have all of your locks the same size, especially when you're someone like me that has different density in different parts of their hair, and that's something I didn't take into consideration. I wanted super thick locks, but not super thick, but I wanted thick locks. And so when I first parted them off, I realized it was very gappy on the sides and at the top. And so I was like, oh no, I don't like that. So then I took down the sides and the tops and made them smaller so it can fill in more space. But because I have high density everywhere else and like normal density here and at the top, it was just, I had very small locks here on the sides. So I had like these super small locks that were like the size of a pencil, and then I had locks in the back that were the size of a fat Sharpie, and you couldn't really tell when my hair was down, but when I put it up, I didn't like the way it looked. Fifth thing, hopefully I'm not off on my numbering. Anyway, the fifth thing that bothered me was the 2-strand twist. This might have had something to do with the fact that, one, I started my locks with my hair being long, and two, the way I twist, naturally, I do rope twists. So as I'm twisting each individual strand. So one strand is wound, the other strand is wound, and then I'm wrapping them across each other. So that doesn't really create the best environment for a lock to like mesh and get rid of the pattern because they're so tight. And I don't know how to not twist like that. It's very hard for me. That's why I chose finger coils. These are not comb coils. Me and tools don't really work. If it's not a blow dryer or like a flat iron, I can't be coordinated. So I did finger coils because I went on YouTube and I was just like, has anyone started their locks with finger coils? I've seen it, so I'm like, hey, let me do it. Close enough. You still get the little spiral effect. So yeah, they're not as like tight as like comb coils, but I think they do the job. Some of them are pretty firm though, like this one. That's pretty firm, but these up here are kind of floppy. But I have a looser curl pattern at the top. So yes, I combed out so those are pretty much the main issues that I wanted to correct with this set. So as far as taking down my locks, I cut them into a tapered style. One, because I was not gonna comb out the entire length of my hair. That was a lot. I did this one in the corner and it took me so long to comb out that whole one, and I'm like, no, I can't do it. So then I just cut it into a taper cut. I wish I hadn't cut the sides so long, but I think I will just probably add extensions to that part down the line, just because it's going to be really annoying when it comes to styling. But yes, so I cut into a taper style because at first I had this plan to wear my hair loose for a couple months and then I would relock. But after a couple days of having it loose and doing like the wash and goes, I was like, okay, my hair is cute, but I'm tired of this now. I started remembering why I wanted to lock. My hair is very fine. I get single strand knots easily because my hair is so fine. I have low porosity hair. I figured out my low porosity, so that's not a problem. I can keep my hair moisturized easily. I have that down, but the fineness of my hair I can't change. And I looked into the max hydration method, but that was just too much for me. I'm very low maintenance. So, and while I was in the shower and I was doing my wash and go, and I was like raking it through and then shaking my head to get the curls to clump, and it was cute. But then I was like, now I gotta clean the shower because I got my curling custard all over the shower walls, and I was just like having flashbacks to when I was a loose natural and I had like long hair, and I was just like, I don't want to go through this again. No. I can't do a couple months of this, so I was like, no, I'm gonna lock it up immediately. So but yes, I'm happy with this. I'm happy with this short hair. It is gonna be a little bit awkward for me because I'm just so used to just like put it in a bun or put it in a ponytail. Now it's just kind of like short. I can't do anything really with it. But it's a nice change because I was just getting tired of long hair just being in the way. Put on my jacket, zip it up, it's stuck in the zipper. I sit back in a chair, I gotta move my hair. Like, it's just too much. And I was like that even as a loose natural. I stayed at armpit length forever, because once I got in between armpit length and bra strap length, I was like, no, this is too much. I'm just gonna dust my ends a little bit. That was me, like every 2 months. I'm gonna dust my ends. It would end up being a cut of like 2 inches. So I just kept staying at the same length for like a whole like 2 years or something like that. So yeah, I'm just happy to have the short hair back, and I kind of missed it. I kind of like how it frames my face. I've never really had a cut before. I've always just been kind of like a one length kind of girl. I got layers when I was in like 7th grade. So that was like 12 years ago. Yeah, so it's a nice change. But yes, I'm excited to share my new journey with you guys, and I will be sharing some videos, especially on avoiding buildup. I will say the few things I did right with my locks was avoiding buildup. I had, like, of course everyone's gonna have buildup, but I had 99% no buildup. Like, I cut my locks and I looked through them. All I had was lint at the very like ends, and that was only like the back couple rows, because when I started my locks I kept wearing this furry hat, but I was very proud of that. I did have a little bit of buildup at the roots because I dyed my locks a couple weeks back, and I used this very thick dye. It was the Ion semi-permanent, and it's a very thick dye, and that was it. The parts where I used the Manic Panic, I had no buildup whatsoever, so I'm very proud of that. I was very conscious of that with my first set. So like I said, I'm very excited to share this with you guys, and yeah, I feel renewed and refreshed, and I hope you guys are excited to see what happens as well. So thank you so much for watching and sticking around with my ups and downs, and you know, my worries and everything. So hopefully this time around it'll be easier, because I have more knowledge of what's going to happen. But it's also going to be a lot of what ifs and what's going to happen, because I haven't started with comb coils or finger coils before. So I suspect these will lock much faster. I'm finally saying bye. Thank you so much for watching. Please comment, thumbs up, subscribe if you wish. I have my Instagram in the description box, and if you have any tips for starter locks started with coils, please let me know, because I don't know what I'm doing. And yes, if you have any tips for meshing at the roots, please let me know, because that's what I'm afraid of. But thanks so much for watching, guys.